Today we're gonna build one of the cheapest gaming setups you can find on YouTube. To show you that with a little patience and deal hunting, you can build a really fun gaming setup for very little money. But first we gotta set some rules. Number one, we're only gonna spend $350. Number two is I'm not gonna get anything for free by using my TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram follower count to reach out to brands. And by everything, I mean the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse pad, the desk, the chair, the headset, and even the gaming PC itself. Then we'll build it and test it in two of the most popular games to see if we get at least 120 FPS. Probably not gonna be easy, so let's get started.
Now we're gonna be trying to find the best deals possible using places like eBay, Jawla, and Facebook Marketplace. We're gonna start on eBay and we're gonna try to find the gaming PC first because that's gonna be our hardest part and that'll let us know how much money we have left over. So we're gonna start with eBay and we're gonna go to find an office PC with an i7 and we're gonna try to find a mid-tower case. The reason for that is we have more options for graphics cards to put in there later. Now we would prefer not to get an i7 from 3rd or 4th gen. We would much rather have something like this 7700, but unfortunately it is a small form factor build. These right here would be absolutely perfect, but they're in bidding wars right now and I don't really want to wait that long.
I spent the next several minutes searching for the perfect office PC to start this setup with. And I actually found it, the holy grail, an i7 6700, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a 5 gigabyte hard drive, which we don't really need, but it would have left us with plenty of room to buy more RAM and an SSD because this was only $76 with free shipping. But while we were searching for the SSD and RAM, the unthinkable happened. The PC got sold out from under me. So I wasted all that time and had to start the entire hunt process over again. So after searching a little bit longer, I was tired of waiting and decided to settle.
And fortunately for me, I did find this PC, which has an SSD, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the same CPU that we were gonna get, and we're gonna add it to the cart, and we're gonna hurry up and buy this thing before somebody swipes it from us.
In order to not get stuck again, I hurried and added 8 gigabytes of RAM to my cart, and we're also gonna need a fire starter. I mean the SATA to 8-pin adapter. This will allow us extra power we're gonna need for a graphics card later on. But this left us with one really big problem. We've already spent $115 in our budget, and we only have a 128 gigabyte SSD, which is barely gonna be enough to install one game, let alone two. So we're just gonna have to see if we have enough at the end to get another SSD. But for now, we gotta find a graphics card.
For the GPU, we wanna look for something like the GTX 1660 Super. And if possible, we prefer not to pay more than $80 for one because it is a pretty old card, yet people are still asking for over $100, which is absolutely insane.
I continued to search on eBay for the graphics card, but the search came up super empty. So then I set my sights on Jawla.gg, not sponsored in any way. And after a few minutes of searching, I found something super surprising.
There's not a whole lot of options on Jawla, but we did find this 1660 Ti. It's an OC edition, and it should be enough for us to do what we need to do. It's only $71 plus shipping. Now, one tip for buying off Jawla is you need to go look at YouTubers. Right now, my code still works from when I collabed with them like several months ago, MMillerPC10. And if that code doesn't work, you can look at places like the Toasty Bros or Linus Tech Tips that collab with them and see if their codes still work. We're gonna pick the cheapest shipping option we can, which is $12.19, which brings our total to $76 even for this graphics card.
So now we can check off the hardest part of this gaming setup, which is the gaming PC, which came out to a total of $191.70, which only leaves us with $158.30. This might be harder than I thought, so let's go back to eBay to try to find some more deals.
All right, so we're gonna go for gaming monitor first, and we're gonna start with, let's do 180 hertz monitor. Now, I don't think I'll get 180 hertz in anything, possibly Fortnite on performance mode. It's gotten pretty good over the last a little bit of time. This one is certified refurbished, 24 inches, sorry. It's only $71, $70.83. I don't know if I'm gonna find a better monitor than that.
So just to be safe, I spent a lot of time searching to see if I could find any other monitors that would be close to that price to performance. I looked for 120 hertz, 144 hertz, and even 165 hertz monitors. None of them were as close to the price to performance of the first one we looked at. So we decided to grab that.
Now that we got that monitor on the way to our house, and hopefully it's not a scam, we're gonna hop on over to Amazon to look for a keyboard, mouse, headset, and mouse pad. And we only have $87.49 left in our budget. This might be kind of tough.
Searching for a keyboard and mouse pad might be the easiest part of the entire setup. For the keyboard, I went with the cheapest mechanical one I could find with hot swappable switches. It was only $15. Then I also picked up a cheap Glorious mouse pad XL for $8.99, which leaves us with a total of $63.50 for everything else. So our next decisions are gonna be super crucial, and I wanted to pick the gaming headset out next, and that gave me more problems than I could have ever imagined.
So the gaming headset was a lot harder than I expected it to be because one, if you get just a regular audio jack headset, you're gonna need an adapter which costs extra money. But if you search for USB gaming headset, then it's a little bit easier, and I found this one for only $13. It's supposed to be only USB and it comes with a mic, so we'll see what happens.
Now we only have $50.50 left, and we still have to buy one of the most important parts of the gaming setup, the gaming mouse. And I searched and researched for hours. I wanted to make sure I got the best bang for buck gaming mouse I could possibly find. And after my research was complete, the Amazon search began, and you won't believe what I found.
This is the R1 SE Plus. It has a 3395 ProArt sensor, or maybe it's not ProArt. Anyway, maybe ProArt, I don't really know. It's PAW sensor. It's a 3395, which is one of the better sensors you can get for this price range. All the other ones were like 3311, and they're okay. They're not terrible, but if you can get a 3395 for $29, we've gotta take that.
We have now spent $329.48, which leaves us with a total of $20.52 for a desk and a chair. This is where I see a lot of creators skip out on gaming setups on YouTube. I know the desk and chair don't matter that much, but it does all depend on your personal preference. And some people just can't afford to go get a desk and a chair, and they might not have anything laying around their house, so their parents are okay setting up a computer. I wanted to show that it was possible to find desks and chairs really cheap with some deal hunting and some negotiating. So I probably spent the next hour or so searching for chairs and desks on Facebook, and I did find some that were super cheap or even free, but they were over an hour away, and I didn't feel like doing all that for this video, but you definitely should if you're in need. But after sending probably 20 messages or so, I decided to take a break and just wait and see what happened.
All right, guys, so it's been 2 days since I sent those messages on Facebook, and literally nobody's messaged me back, or they still had the listing on there for no reason when it was already sold. So we're gonna head to town to pick up some supper for the fam, and we're gonna stop by a thrift store, which is another option you could do, and see if there's a table and chair in there we can use for the setup. So let's go. In case you couldn't tell, I kind of live in the middle of nowhere. But once you get out of the boonies where I live, man, we got one of the nicest lakes in the country over here. They host a lot of big bass tournaments here from time to time. And it's just an awesome place to live, man. Low key, down to earth. I just love it here. All right, guys, we just pulled up to the thrift store, and before we go in, I would like to tell you guys about this Discord server that I'm launching. It's the Discord server I've always had, but I'm about to add memberships to it. If you become a Discord member, there's gonna be 3 different tiers, and I'll go into more detail about that later. But just by signing up for the basic tier, you're gonna get access to a private Discord channel where you can ask me questions, and I guarantee you at least once a day, I'm gonna go in there and answer everybody's questions. There's just so much going on with my comment sections for TikTok and YouTube and all of that. It's just very hard for me to get to everybody, and some people ask more in-depth questions that I just don't have time to respond to in the comments, and I just thought this was a good way for me to be able to do it more, and you guys can help out the channel and allow me to make more videos for you guys. It's not required, so let's go see if we can find a table and chair. There's a lot of people in here. I didn't expect there to be this many people, if we're being honest. I don't know how much I can put of this because it's going to be trademark music in here. This is their electronics section. It appears that they don't have a lot going on. I guess you could, if you didn't want to, if you wanted more money for a mouse or something, you could. It's a CyberPower keyboard. You could do that. A couple of computer speakers, nothing crazy.
The only thing in the thrift store I was able to find was this old chair. It's kind of got a stain on it, but it's only like $11. So we're gonna go check out.
All right, we got the chair secured. Still no desk though, so maybe someone will message back on Facebook, but I gotta go get supper home to my family, and in worst case, we'll go check some other thrift stores in the neighborhood tomorrow. Okay, so it's been a few days. I sent out some more Facebook messages. Since we didn't find any desks at the thrift store, I didn't really have time to go to any other thrift stores, so I just kind of waited to see if anybody was gonna message me back. And bless her heart, this little old lady that I messaged, which I didn't even pay attention to that it was, but she said, it looks like you're starting a new life with a cute baby, so $10 will be okay, because I haven't changed my profile picture since my son was born. So $10 is what I got this desk for, and I paid $11 for the chair at the thrift store, so that means we are just barely under budget. Because this lady is being nice because she thinks I'm in need, I am gonna go by the bank and get like 50 bucks to give her because I feel really bad. So let's go pick this up and surprise this lady with $50. All right, so I'm here to pick up the table, and again, since they were so nice, I'm gonna give them $40 because the ATM wouldn't let me give 50. So yeah, I'll be right back. Hey, how are you doing? Thank y'all so much. Bye. All right, so that couple was super duper nice. They were super helpful. I wish I could have gave them more, but I at least gave them what they were asking for and an extra $10. But for you guys, I wanted to show you that if you negotiate, some people do have a good heart and will help you out. Just don't be rude and disgusting about it. So let's get this table home, and then when eBay stuff gets here, we'll build the setup. It's been a few days now, but everything finally showed up. We've got the monitor, the computer, the graphics card, even though this kind of looks like it's a cooler. It's not, it's just what they shipped it in. They did write it on there, and everything else is here. We're gonna start by putting the computer together, and I wanna show you exactly how to do it so you can do this exact same thing at home if you wish to do that. And of course, everything we bought will be linked down in the description. There are affiliate links, but if you think you might wanna do this, I will have those for you. Of course, they did use packing peanuts with the computer here, and those always make a huge mess. All right, so here's the desktop. It is the HP Elite. It says it has an i7 Pro. That's what we paid for, and we're gonna see if it is what we paid for. So all you gotta do is like press this lever here or pull up on this lever to open up the computer, and it said it came with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which it did, but it didn't tell me that it was 2 4-gig sticks. So one thing that you guys might want to do if you're going to try to copy this at home is don't order more RAM until after the computer shows up, so you can see if it's 2 4-gig sticks or 1 8-gig stick. If it's 2 4-gig sticks, you might want to just order 2 more 4-gig sticks. It's totally up to you. It would probably run fine without it, but that's just something you might want to do. But for stability purposes, I'm not gonna use these 2 4-gig sticks. I'm actually gonna use 2 8-gig sticks. I accidentally ordered 2 anyway by mistake, so that's what I'm gonna do. And all you have to do is pull back on these tabs right here to open those up, and they just pull out. And then there's a little notch that's like right in here that you have to line up with the notch that's on the motherboard, and then you can just snap those into place. So it should just snap in. Again, there's like a little notch on the motherboard. You just line up with the notch on the RAM stick, and typically it doesn't really matter on these older ones. Typically you just do 2 and 4. You could do 1 and 3, but you just want to make sure that you skip a slot and then put a RAM stick, skip a slot, put a RAM stick. This is our SSD. It is only 128 gigabytes. It's not attached to anything, which is not a huge deal. As long as you're not gonna be moving it around a whole lot, it's not a huge deal. Just be careful with that. You could order more storage, but again, we were trying to stay on budget. And this is our CPU. If you're not experienced as a PC builder, I probably wouldn't take this CPU cooler off and just kind of see if the temperature is going to be the way that you hope that it will be and be really nice. If for some reason we had temperature issues, you could take it off and redo the thermal paste, but you're probably not going to have thermal paste laying around like I do. So that is something you might just want to be careful of. The last thing is you got to put in our graphics card, and to do that we're going to need this adapter
right here. This is 2 SATA connectors with a PCIe. Now you could probably just do the 1 SATA to 6-pin and probably be perfectly fine. But we got the double SATA just to be safe. And so here is another SATA connector for us right here. And we're gonna plug one end of it into that. And we're gonna plug the other end also into where our SSD is connected. So we're gonna have 2 just like that. We're gonna kind of push the cords to the side because we gotta have room for the graphics card. And we got our graphics card from Jawa.gg, so it should be pretty legit. This is not sponsored, by the way. The guy that I used to work with from Jawa actually got like fired or something. I don't really know what happened, but I haven't worked with Jawa in a while, so not sponsored. But my code still works, so I got 10% off, which was really nice. I will say this so far: both sellers, the one from eBay and the one from Jawa, packaged this stuff up very well, like super duper well. Anti-static bag here. All right, and here is our 1660 Ti. I don't know if you can read that or not, but it'd be right in there. 1660 Ti, and it has 1 8-pin. So I'm glad that we actually got the 8-pin power connector because we needed it. If you get a 1660 Super, more than likely it would probably be a 6-pin, but it's just totally up to you. What I did was the safe choice by doing the 2 SATA to 8-pin. All right, now hopefully you can see this with my top-down camera, but what we're gonna have to do here is we're gonna have to undo latch here on the side. So for this computer here, there's a latch here on the side that we pop open, and then we can kind of see where our card's gonna line up at. And it looks like we're gonna need to take out this metal piece and this second metal piece here. And then again, we're gonna have to pull these cords to the side so they don't get in the way. Then what we can do is line this up. Okay, we do have a slight problem. This USB 3.0 header here is kind of in the way, and it is blocking the GPU from going in. So I'm gonna have to take this out. And so we just will not have the USB ports on the front of the PC, which is kind of a bummer, but better than not being able to play games at all. So I guess that's a downside. I've actually never seen an Optiplex do that. Then we snap this into place, and we should be able to close this down, which it's not wanting to do very well, might I add. There's a very nice design there though. There we go. Nope, there, now we got it. Nice. Okay, then we can take our little adapter that we have, like you see here, and plug it into graphics card. Awesome, good to go. Now, this should boot up just fine now, and then you can put the case back on it, good to go. We're gonna kind of put this to the side for a minute so that we can open up the rest of our boxes. We're gonna start first with this mouse pad. It's a Glorious XL mouse pad. It was like, I don't remember, $9 or something. Pretty cheap. It's an XL mouse pad, so it should be perfect. I actually like the square mouse pads the best. I don't like the mouse pads that take up your whole desk. I like just for my keyboard, my mouse, to be the only thing that has the mouse under it. That's just kind of been my personal preference, but whatever you want, it's totally up to you. All right, this is our really cheap $15 keyboard. It was nothing special, but it is supposed to be hot swappable. So it does not feel the best. It's supposed to be mechanical, not hot swappable. I mean, it sounds, hopefully you can hear that. It doesn't sound the best, but it also doesn't sound the worst. So, and it is USB-C, which is nice. I think my kid is knocking on my door currently. Now this is the part I'm probably the most excited to try, and that's the gaming mouse here. It's a VXE R1. It's supposed to be a really good gaming mouse for the price. It was only $30, and it's got a PAW3395, I believe, sensor. And I mean, it feels pretty awesome in my hand right now. It's a little flatter than what I'm used to. So here's the size comparison. This is my G Pro Superlight 2, all right? And then this is it beside it. So it is, the Superlight might be slightly longer. And then like a side-by-side comparison, the hump on the Superlight is probably a little bit bigger than what you're used to seeing. Side buttons are probably about the same. They sound a little bit more clicky than the Superlight, but my Superlight is kind of wore out. So we'll just see. I'm excited to see. It is super duper light. So we'll see how that works on a couple games that we're gonna try to play. And here's the last kind of peripheral. We got this super cheap headset here, gaming headset. It was, I don't remember how much, maybe like 12 bucks, something like that. I had to get the cheapest one I could find with a mic. If you have a little bit more money,
I probably recommend getting like IEMs and getting a desktop mic, like a desk mic. If you can get used to IEMs, I've not found a pair of IEMs I like. Got the nice skull on the side here. And it is USB, so that is something that's super important if you want the mic to work. Hopefully not too bad. All right, and last but not least, we do have our monitor here. It's supposed to be 180 Hertz, I believe, if I didn't forget. It's a little dusty, but nothing a little rag can't fix, but it's nice. It's got a super nice, like, thin bezel, like it's super thin, and I really like that. And it comes with the stand, which is what we were hoping for, which is a W. Sometimes, I guess we could run into the possibility that it didn't have a stand. All right, monitor is set up and ready to go. Luckily, the seller did also send us an HDMI. I mean, you could definitely use, but a DisplayPort cable is better. It's gonna be better for you guys that are trying to hit those higher refresh rates. Probably not gonna matter too much except in games maybe like Fortnite or so, but we're gonna use one of these just in case. You could definitely just use the HDMI, use the one from your console if you're, you know, switching to console or something like that, and you should be fine. All right, so we're gonna see if this will actually work.
Well, it did not work. In fact, I had to spend the next hour having to troubleshoot this PC and use extra parts laying around that I had. And this is something you definitely want to keep in mind if you wanted to copy something like this from this setup, because you probably don't have the extra parts that I have. Unfortunately for me, both of these sticks of RAM that I have here are duds and they don't work, so I can't use them. Luckily though, I did have some extra sticks of RAM laying around. Unfortunately though, we are gonna have 32 gigs instead of 16 gigs, but for the games that you're gonna be playing on this type of device, not gonna make a huge difference other than maybe Warzone, because we're gonna try that just to see what our FPS numbers are like. The good thing is both of these sellers were highly rated, so I can send them back with no issues. Now we can put the GPU back in, install some games, and play on our $350 setup. All right, so we finally got some games installed here on our setup, but a couple disclaimers. 128 gigs is not gonna be enough to hardly do anything. I had to really finagle it to even get Fortnite on there, and it's not ideal because that would like max out the SSD. So you really need to budget, you know, $10 to $12 to get like a used 512 gig, or if you wanna just buy a brand new like 1 terabyte, it would be like another $60. I have an extra drive that I'm gonna use just for testing the setup in general to see how some games play. We're only gonna play a few and just to kind of see how it goes, and we'll go from there. All right, so first we're gonna play a little Resurgence game mode option, and we got basic settings with FSR, and these settings are not my normal settings, so we will just have to see how we do. Oh man, oh, I may like that actually. The mouse is really responsive. I mean, the keyboard feels fine. I mean, it's not the best keyboard in the world, but I mean, it feels pretty good. It's not as clicky clacky. It almost feels like a membrane keyboard, even though it says that it's not. But the fact that we're getting 90 FPS in a Resurgence Warzone is actually kind of crazy. Just trying to find like one person.
Here you can see that we're holding around like 80 to 90 FPS.
Nice. All right, and then like 80-ish, 78-ish in that, so.
But here, camping in this bush, it drops to like 60 or 70.
Yeah, hoo-hoo-hoo. That's a nice little 3K right there back to back. Now, Call of Duty really surprised me with how well it ran. However, we do have something to talk about that might be a major deal breaker at the end of this video. So you definitely want to stick around to see what I found out. But before we do that, I've got to try my favorite game, Fortnite. So now we're going to drop into good old Fortnite, see what we're looking at. Right now, our CPU is 100% maxed out. So I don't know what that's going to look like. It seems pretty smooth coming off the battle bus. So we'll just have to see. Right now, our 1% lows are kind of in and out. I do hear a little bit of stuttering, but the headset sounds really nice. I'm really shocked by the headset for like, what did we pay, like $12 or something? Just pretty insane. I do worry about this 100% CPU usage at the moment. I feel like that's going to drastically hurt us at some point. Okay, now that we're landed, we're going back and forth on percentages. Actually, I don't have the temp up here. We're sitting at 82% usage on the CPU, which is still a lot, but again, you know, this is
pretty good system here. I mean, what, we paid less than $200 for the PC. We're getting close to 150, 160 FPS. We've got a 180 hertz monitor, so I mean, I think that's pretty solid. I think it's solid for sure. And the longer we play, the better off we may be, actually. Well, we did have a weird stutter there. I'm gonna see if I can cap it at 180. All right, that's what our monitor's set to. So we're gonna cap it there so it doesn't try to hit higher than that and see what happens. Really don't want to fight people without a shotgun. Oh, this dude had a freaking dope loadout, man.
Here we try to push this guy with a fight, and you can see our FPS as we start to build drop into the 120s or 130s, but it's still pretty smooth.
I don't have enough ammo to be doing this.
Here the FPS drops to like 108, and I absolutely suck.
No! Overall, the setup was really nice. With FSR, we were able to play Warzone Resurgence at like 70 to 80 FPS, and then Fortnite was around 150 with very minimal stutters. I think if you played a couple games, it would be fine. The only issue that you might run into with this cheap of a PC is you can't upgrade to Windows 11. October of this year is kind of when Windows 10 is gonna lose support. So you might wanna, like, you know, try to get a free desk, free chair, and try to spend a little bit more money to get an 8th gen i5 instead of the i7 that we went for here, and it might work out to about the same price. But if you wanna see a really cool gaming setup that I built for my brother, then you can go watch this video.